of clarity that the Lord is just blessing his body with on the face of the earth right now. We see Jesus just walking on the scene in Matthew chapter 4 verse 18 to 22 in the New Living Translation. The Word of God says, one day as Jesus was walking along the shore of the Sea of Galilee, he saw two brothers, Simon, also called Peter, and Andrew, throwing a net into the water, for they fished for a living. Jesus called out to them, "Come, follow me, and I will show you how to fish for people." And they left their nets at once and followed him. Now you must understand that Peter and Andrew, this was a family business. It was a huge commercial enterprise. They had a few boats. They just didn't have one boat. They had a few boats. And clarity struck them like a thunderbolt. And it changed their lives immediately. They dropped their nets, they dropped their family business right there, left everything, left those responsibilities, and started following God. I mean, you talk about thunderbolt clarity. And this is about to happen in many people's lives. It's happened a few times in my life, and sometimes it's a process. Sometimes it happens in increments. Just follow the increment revelations. Just follow the step-by-step process, and things will start falling into place, because that's predominantly the way it works. God leads you step by step. He says the steps of a righteous man are ordered by the Lord. But there are times where God says, listen, I'm going to strike Naomi with a thunderbolt clarity. I'm going to strike Dean with a thunderbolt clarity. I'm going to strike Cynthia with thunderbolt clarity. I'm going to strike Chris with thunderbolt clarity. I'm going to strike Dawns with thunderbolt clarity. Tuti, Yaku, I'm going to strike you with thunderbolt clarity. And the Word of God says in verse 21, and they left their nets and at once followed him. They left those responsibilities and they took on a whole other kind of responsibility, and that was to follow Jesus. Because you see, they were just waiting for that moment, and that moment struck them. They were called to be apostles, but they did not have that revelation. They did not have that insight. They did not have that clarity. They had to wait for Jesus to break in. Man, this makes me excited. Yeah, they had to wait for Jesus to break in and for that to happen in their lives. And so, in verse 21, a little further up the shore, Jesus saw two other brothers, James and John, sitting in a boat where their father Zebedee was repairing their nets. And he called them to come too. They immediately followed him, leaving the boat and their father behind. They left the boat and they left their papa behind. I mean, this is crazy stuff. I mean, that's what clarity does. That's what insight does. You know, their father probably thought, what's going on here? I mean, I've created this business for my children. I've put this business together for my kids, and now they are just like leaving me in an instant. This guy walks in, he talks to my two sons, and there they leave me alone with the nets and the boats. You talk about even people who feel like you are disrespectful towards them by leaving your responsibilities, bang, the moment you find clarity. It's not because you are disrespectful. It's because you go to a higher priority. And that means you see that through clarity. It's like God is revealing now in this time such clear things to you that you will leave certain responsibilities to pick up heaven's responsibilities, which was destined on heaven's calendar for you in this time. Listen, God is speaking to people tonight. He's bringing disruption to your life, just like He brought disruption to John and James, the sons of Zebedee. And He said, no, I've called you to be apostles. I've called you to lay down your life for me, and I've called you to this ministry. And so God is doing this right now. Some of you, you're going to leave the place where you are now doing business or now engaged in someone else's business, and God is saying this, I've got something else for you. Some of you are going to leave a spiritual family to join another one. That's just what the Lord is doing. There's a migration taking place.